Here today. Did I do it right?
Why are you being loud? There's people. This kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So we just recorded. How long did that take? Like 40 minutes?
35.
This is embarrassing, and I understand. All right. I just recorded 40 minutes worth of solid leasing advice and like the breakdown of how everything works to Roman, and the SD card failed. So we're hoping this works right now. So before I dive right in, we want to introduce ourselves. My name is Ari Janessian.
My name is Roman Davis.
And the whole goal of this video today is to explain how I structure my whole negotiation guides so that you can understand it in the very simplest way and understand how this whole leasing thing works. So if you haven't already, and you enjoy solid how-to videos, especially when it comes to negotiating brand new cars,
Please consider subscribing.
subscribing.
Yeah.
Subscribing.
Please consider
Please consider subscribing. All right, so now most of my negotiation guides, I break down like how to get the best deal, whether you're financing or you're leasing. Essentially, I'm gonna skip the financing part and concentrate solely on leasing. All these variables that I toss out in these videos, money factors, rates, residuals, all this stuff is like probably flying over your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Right.
Of any of them.
So the very, very most simplest way to explain what I'm talking about, right? On any lease, you've got the depreciation on the car, right? Interest on the car, and sales tax on the car. Essentially, what a residual has to do with the depreciation of the car. So let's say the car is worth, $100,000, and the residual on the car, in the videos I say 63% residual, right? The residual on the car is 60%. That means the car is depreciating how much? 40%. So essentially, you're paying before negotiation. That's why the negotiation guide is there. You're paying the 40% plus interest plus tax. That interest, when I say the money factor isn't some Netflix series that you can watch, okay? The money factor is the interest that's being charged on the lease. And the very simplest way, whenever you see these digits, first of all, you'll never see it actually disclosed. So always ask what the money factor is on a lease. And when they give it to you, when they give you this like 7 digits, when you ask for the money factor, the most simplest way you can convert these digits that make absolutely no sense into what does make sense, which is an interest rate, right? 4% interest, 5% interest, the stuff that actually makes sense. Take those digits, say for instance 0.002, right? Multiply it by 2400. When you do this, that results to 4.8% interest. So do you see what I'm doing here? I'm trying to break down like listen, they're trying to tell you something that doesn't really make any sense when you see it. So that you can make sense of it. So you got your depreciation, you got your interest, and you got tax on a lease payment. You know what a money factor is now. You know what the residual is now. I'm going to tell you how to go about making sure you're not missing anything when you're watching these negotiation guides. So what you're doing is when you're negotiating these cars, right? You're not negotiating the whole price of the car. Right? You're negotiating how much you're using. So say on the depreciation of the car, how much you're going to be paying for the term of the lease, the 3 years of the lease. You're negotiating down the difference between the residual and how much that car you ended up having them discount to. So say if you were going to pay $40,000 in depreciation, right? And you got a $10,000 discount, you're now only paying for $30,000 in depreciation. So that equates to a lower car payment. Now, on the money factor, because a lot of people, they may not qualify, especially in your age bracket. A lot of the kids are coming out of college and they're not able to qualify for the highest tier. And I'm going to get to that next. A lot of times, that money factor at the lowest possible rate is often hiked up. So it's important to know all the time how much interest you're being charged and why. And if you're being told because your credit isn't good enough, then understand that you're being approved at a higher tier. So usually, anytime I'm quoting these payments, they're on tier 1 credit. Okay? So usually to get tier 1 credit, you either, if you're a college kid, usually you'll need like a ton of credit history, which college kids don't have. You'll need to either use a recent college grad program, like Toyota has one, Volkswagen has one, etc., or you'll need a cosigner. Right? So college grads have it kind of easy. Like let's say, Roman, you were going to get out of college, and one of my subscribers, Sipan, How you doing, Steve? He asked me what a good car is to get right out of college. And what I would recommend is going with a car or a brand that offers some sort of like recent college grad program where, you know, you're getting approved at the highest tier, you're getting charged a low money factor, and they're giving you an additional incentive, right? Like let's say on a Corolla at one point it was like $1,250 that they will give, you couldn't qualify for this unless you were a recent college grad. Yeah. So they're helping out people that are recent college grads. They need help on the tier approval, and you're trying to get a lower car payment.
What's a good car payment for someone that got out of college?
That's a good question. So a lot of like college kids, I'm sure, like they're trying to like flex or like they're trying to be responsible, right? You got these two categories. The people that are trying to like flex and like overextend their income, I'd say no more than like 15 to 20% of your income. So let's say you're making like $4,000 a month. Yeah. And you're trying to like ball till you fall type of thing. Yeah. 800 is like you're an idiot. 400 is probably you're trying to be a little bit responsible. Yeah. 5% is what I'd recommend, which is $200 a month, right? Yeah. So anywhere between $200 and $400 a month is a solid car payment for a college kid. Now, if you've got student loans, you'll probably want to go for the 200. And if you're trying to save a decent chunk, go for the 200. Yeah. Save about 20% of your income instead of spending 20% on a car payment. Gotcha. All right. So when I do out these deals, I always talk about how much money do it start, right? Yeah. Right. And most of the time, you see these deals advertised. How are they advertised? Usually you'll see like these banners or like these crazy like advertisements that say, how much down?
0 down.
They're asking for 0 down, right? And a lot of times you go in there expecting to literally pay nothing. Keep in mind, anytime you're seeing 0 down, that doesn't mean that you'll owe them nothing. Do it start. You got to give them some money up front. Right? But how much is this some money up front, right? What's required? Usually what's actually required and what they'll tell you looks better on paper when you got no credit or whatever. Keep in mind, anytime you're about to sign a deal, it's only about like $1,500. It's only the fees that you have to give at start. But that doesn't fall into the category of 0 down. If you're actually trying to do it so that it's 0 down, you still have to pay these fees. It's just you can roll it into the price of your lease. So anytime you're discussing 0 down and you literally want to give nothing, say nothing do at start. 0 do at start. Yeah. Because 0 down and 0 do at start are two different things. However, what is due at start, whether you're paying it out of your pocket or you're putting it into your lease, you got acquisition fee, you got documentation fee, you got registration, and you got first payment. These 4 things you got. Keep that in mind. Anytime you're seeing other stuff being tacked in or they're asking you for more money for whatever reason to make the payments look prettier or to get you to, no. Always keep it at this $1,500 to $2,000-ish, and that always will fall into a 5% down and 1% rule that I always like to use, which I call the AJE. Basically, 5% down, 5% of the MSRP will get you to 1% of the MSRP as your monthly payment. So essentially, if you've got like a $20,000 Honda Civic, you basically put down 5% of that $20,000, which is $1,000, getting you to 1% of the MSRP, which is $200. So 5% down to get you to 1% a month.
How much is too much to put down on a lease?
Well, like you've been saving up some money and like you're trying to like, even though you saved up that money, that's good. But set it aside, invest it, do whatever you got to do. But always keep in mind, more than 5%, you're at a risk for losing a lot of money basically if you put it down on a lease. Because if you total the car, you'll lose all that money. Yeah. Right? So say you put down like $5,000 on that $20,000 Honda, right? To get you like a super low payment, right? Yep. You got like $100 a month or whatever you got. But you put down a ton of money. Yeah. You're pulling out of the Honda dealership, whatever, yada, yada, yada. And somebody swipes you and your car's totaled. The insurance company doesn't have to just reproduce your deal for you and just pay everybody what you paid them. You lost all your money. You have to take that money that you saved again to reproduce that whole deal all over again. So always a safe bet is basically just paying just those upfront fees or capping it at 5% down. So if you're looking at a $20,000 Honda, you want to pay only 5% of the MSRP.
What about maintenance on a lease?
Actually, Jessica, Yum Bunny's Cakery. How you doing, Jess? She asked me on Instagram if you've got to do maintenance at the dealership when you're leasing a car. So actually, the funny thing is that you don't actually have to do maintenance at the dealership. A lot of these car brands like Mercedes or BMW, for example, they have a bunch of sensors, like the brake pad wear sensor is connected to the, like they just, how they do it is that they make it harder and harder for mechanics to basically maintain the car if they're not a good enough mechanic. You always want to make sure you're taking it somewhere that's not using cheap parts that's going to make other sensors go off or, you know, cause other problems. For example, if you go and like try to get an oil change on a Jeep, or, you know, you're getting your brakes changed on a Honda, take it somewhere that's not going to use really crappy parts on the car so that they don't give you trouble at the dealership. But you don't technically have to do maintenance at the dealership because it costs a lot of money to do it. You want anything to drink, Carl?
No, I'm good.
No?
What happens if I trash the car?
What, at the end of the lease?
Yeah.
You're trying to mess up, you know you're going to mess up the car at the end?
Probably.
If you know that like the car is going to come back dinged up, usually you can like avoid the whole thing from the beginning.
Yeah.
And you can get the excess wear and use waiver, which basically like wear and tear on the car, right?
Yeah.
They cover the wear and tear. Stuff that like, let's say it's not technically an accident, you're not going to report it to your insurance.
Yeah.
Like a scratch, or like the wheel is scuffed up.
Yeah.
Or like, let's say you brought back the car with the tires really, really bald. A lot of this stuff can be covered. You don't actually have to pay for it. Like they'll cover, a lot of companies will cover like $5,000, $7,500. So you don't have to worry about this stuff while you're driving it. You just drive it a little bit carefree and not have to worry. I probably wouldn't recommend trashing your car unless you got the wear and tear waiver. But yeah. I wouldn't. Be careful. Man.
So I should definitely get
the wear and tear if
okay.
you know you're gonna trash the car. Let's take this last question because I got actual work to do right now.
Sorry, man.
Gotcha. What do you want to ask me in closing this whole video?
How do I know if I'm getting a bad deal?
It's really hard because a lot of these dealers, if you live in a place like where we live, these dealers they give a lot of their best offers just up front.
Yeah.
Like, they're basically, whenever they're trying to give you an offer, they're trying to take you off the market. Still, even if the deal seems like intense, crazy, it might be, but you still want to shop around.
Yeah.
It's like 3 or 4 dealerships, right? You never want to just take the first offer, or put it this way, you never want to go to the dealership, especially with your parents or like your dad or mom or whatever, and you're in there and everybody's just kind of like sick of it, tired, let's just get the deal done type of thing.
Yeah.
Go to the dealership, check out the car. If it feels like you're getting a good deal or a bad deal, doesn't matter. Just leave.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Kind of just like sleep on it, shop around to a few different dealerships. Even though I told you about that like 5% down, 1% rule, put it this way, on a Toyota Corolla, some people go beneath what I'm talking about. And let's say on a BMW, it never comes to 5% and 1%.
Yeah.
It's over what I'm talking about. You want to shop around just to make sure that if it feels too high or you feel like it could be lower, at the very least you know what the whole market is giving you in terms of like, okay, all these dealerships are roughly around the same price. I'm going to take the best deal that I have and make the local dealership give me that deal.
Yeah.
Don't ever sign a deal just because you're exhausted from the process, right?
Yep.
So guys, I hope that this video gave you a sense for how all of this stuff works. I know in my videos, it's not made for the absolute most amateur, and it's probably a good idea to at least know what these terms mean before watching my negotiation guides. If you found this information useful and you want to see more of these new car buying and negotiation tip type videos,
Please consider subscribing.
cut me off again, man. Please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.